So I want to present a few facts and some opinions. I started as CEO with GCI on the 6th of January. And the channel's incredibly important for GCI and what we want to do and where we want to go. But do you think the channel's exciting right now? Yes? No? Yes, you think it's exciting. But look outside, it's like death throes. It was quiet yesterday, it's quiet today. If you go around the stands and you talk to the people that work for the companies that are exhibiting, and I'm including us in that, and you ask them about direction, purpose, how they're going to add value, where the market's going, what do the people want, and everything else, you get misdirection all the way around. So even though the channel's incredibly important, I think it's lost. And I think it's not looking at the inevitable things that are going to happen. And I want to describe what we think at GCI those things are, how we're going to change the services that we provide to channel in order to support that change, and how channel partners can help me and I can help them attract more business and more customers. So I think there are a lot of companies that just kind of move forward, but they don't really look at where they're going. So they end up somewhere, and then they look around and they wonder how they got there. And I think GCI has been guilty of that too. I mean, it's a very well-structured financial organization, great turnover, great EBIT, no leverage, no debt, but it's kind of lost its way. And my job is to make sure that we lead it and we get the right way, the same as everybody else. But you'd be amazed at how many different answers I've even got from the same people giving exhibitions here, asking the same questions about their company. So it's not just about putting it on slideware, it's about actually everybody participating in that. So we have to deal with the millennials, and they're changing the way that we think about how we're going to provide services. So having lots of conversations the last 2 days about how they're going to change things. You can't stop people growing up. I've got 2 kids. One's 15, one's 17. They think differently. They consume data differently. They think email is something that dinosaurs invented. Okay, so these people are growing up, and they're going to become the people that actually, where the channel are going to be selling to. So if you look completely different to what they're normally going to do, how are you going to survive? Because they will change the way that they do it. I mean, I was having a chat with Ian Hunter yesterday. If I go into a lift and I press the floor in a lift, I use my finger, okay? But my kids will use their thumbs. Why? Because they live on their thumbs. That's how they exist. Everything they touch or do is with their thumbs. So you can't change it. So saying that we're not going to recognize the fact that email will disappear and enterprise messaging will happen is a nonsense, because it will. Simple as that. And I'm going to relate the channel market to a slinky at the end. And everybody loves a slinky, no matter how old or young you are. Okay, so you can't stop people growing up. They will be the decision makers. End of. So the bonkers world of applications. So we have companies that own nothing and are valued at billions of dollars or whatever. But yesterday I was reading some interesting information from, I think it was a federal bank in America. So they've done an analysis of how many people have invested in these new wonderful startups with amazing applications but no liquidity. And if you estimate that, the number is scary. So the last problem we had in the market was the crash because of toxic mortgages. Everybody's mortgage was higher than the value of their house, therefore how can you pay it back? Therefore the debt hit. The same problem with investments in tech companies. Thousands and thousands of startups with millions and millions and millions of dollars invested with no liquidity. Not a great idea, right? And that's going to impact us. So the investment people in the States and everywhere else will go back to the correct way of looking at things, saying, okay, we've got innovation, we've got technology, we've got an access to do it. Does it make money? Is there a cash end game? And if there isn't, they won't invest in them anymore. So there'll be a slowdown in investment, and there'll be a reshaping of the market, and there'll be a lot of people losing money. And if you think about, everybody talks about how Apple basically killed Nokia. I don't believe that Apple killed Nokia. I believe that we, the people, killed Nokia, because all Apple did was provide a device, and everybody in the world collaborated by writing software and put it on the device. So it's collaboration that actually killed Nokia, not Apple themselves. And that's that's a way I think that GCI need to think, and a way that I think the channel needs to think. So, customer time warps as well. If you look here, people still think that they're going forward, they've got a competitive advantage, PABXs are going to be around forever. Netflix, great application, makes money. Blockbuster's dead. Same with EMI. If you look at EMI and the demise of EMI, or the problems that they had, not quite the demise, I think about 15 years ago, there was a board meeting and they produced the minutes. And somebody at the board stood up and said, well, don't worry, downloading on the internet is never going to be a threat. People want to have it on CDs. Okay, so there are older people like me making decisions, and there are a whole generation of people just looking at it going, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? And that's what we, in the channel, I think, have to look at and address. So, changing technology landscape. It's driven by apps and the cloud. And when we talk about the cloud, we talk about clouds in the plural sense, because there's never going to be one, no matter how much Amazon or Microsoft would like it, there's never going to be one worldwide cloud that everybody plugs into and just does everything everybody wants. So traditional on-prem, unless it's very specialist, like maybe in broadcasting where there are certain things that you need to have on-prem because it does things which are really, really important to do on the location, or it's in the finance industry with proximity trading because you want the CPU power next to your foot because it gives you that millisecond of advantage over the person next to you trading. There's no need for it. So we go to app-centric. So it became a vision, and then it became reality, but it's still in lots of different clouds. And even you're telling people to go to the cloud, but you go to access software on demand, but they have to go to different places. So for an enterprise business, and when I talk about enterprise businesses, my view is there is nothing different that a mid-company wants than a large corporate. But, people are sophisticated now. People know what IT can provide them because they go home and they use it and they consume it and they want to go to work and consume it in the same way. A smaller company needs security, it needs access to its applications, it needs flexibility, it needs to pay for things on demand, it needs it on a platform, it needs to be able to fix its business problems with integrated technology. So you move from there to on-demand services. And if you think about software-defined networks and the way that everybody's moving together, on-demand is the way that people will consume whatever we want to give them. So if you aren't thinking about how to take the things that you do, provide it in a very simple way and easy to do business with, and that includes from us to the channel as well as directly to enterprise customers, they're not going to use it. Because they're used to, these millennials are getting older and they're in decision-making positions, and you have other people that are adopting it. If it's not easy to use, people won't use it. So you have to provide them, which is the opportunity, an integrated dashboard, a way of working that can fix it. So if, for instance, you're rolling out Skype for Business. So I recently went to one of our direct customers, international law firm. They have all our services, and they've rolled out Skype for Business everywhere. The sticking issue in rolling out Skype for Business wasn't the technology. It works very well. It wasn't the fact that people have to plug their Bluetooth device into their laptop and make a phone call with a mouse. The problem was the culture of how people interacted. And the mistake and the kind of lessons learned from that is that HR needs to be as part of that process. So collaboration isn't just about the technology that you sell to your customers on a technical level. You need to engage across the business, get the HR person, the CFO, the CEO, whoever, into the room and have the discussions. You know, and in hindsight, we would have gone to Microsoft, got a training company in with more soft skills, so people realized that the problem wasn't the technology, the problem was the way that they interact with it, okay? But if you also look at the age groups within that business, the senior partners in the law firm who kind of look at the desk and were going like that and hitting the wood because there wasn't a phone there anymore, they were the biggest people complaining. But the young people at the organization, it was just business as usual. So a better user experience. What does it mean for the channel with regards to GCI and you guys? So at the moment, we're developing an app. Okay, it's just one example of things that we're doing. This app will be, for the channel, it will be white labeled. For our enterprise customers, it will be obviously labeled with our information on it, where you or your customer can just open the app, have a look at the metrics of what we're providing, in a way that's easily consumable so people understand what's going on with the things that we're providing, because we should be providing fixtures of their business solutions. It will provide services on demand, so from there they can go in and have a little bit of that, increase that, spin that up, spin that down, move on. Very, very, very easy. Therefore, they will use it. And it will give news, which you can put your partner news on there about new innovation, what else they should look at, what people are saying, what are the threats, what are the opportunities. So it brings you closer to your customer in a way that the customers are used to consuming, rather than emailing. I mean, for instance, I think my spam box is the biggest part of my email, because everybody wants me to use their recruitment company, their technology, How on earth can I sit down and read that all and understand it and everything else? I want video, and I want applications, and I want to choose to look for what I want to look for in a way that I can accommodate. And I can't do that at the moment. And if we move to enterprise messaging away from email, which we will, email will become extinct, then people will be able to have a scrolling project of information, a bit like a Facebook, where people within enterprise businesses collaborate, leave information, talk to other people. The HR system will be integrated in it, so if you're looking for a skill, it will come up with the people that have that skill. That's how people collaborate who are younger than the most of us right now, and that's how they will do it moving forward. And you cannot stop it. So how are you going to support it and integrate it? So, managed service providers. It's an easy thing to say, and it's a hard thing to do, especially everything converging, everybody wanting to collaborate, everybody wanting to bring their own device, people wanting to work their own hours. I mean, if I had an ambition at GCI, it would be to enable a company where nobody had to be in the office, but we got better results. So people could actually use the technology that we use, and we do use it, so people could get the right balance. So somebody could work in the morning, go surfing for a couple of hours, come back and carry on doing the work. Who cares? Because it's results that count. And that's how younger people think. And older people don't. They want them in the office. Why are you working from home? What's the policy? It's a load of... I've got to be careful not to swear because I get passionate about things. It's not right for people that want to grow. So the user experience will be determined by the performance of network infrastructure and application layers. If you want to be a managed service provider, the most important thing to a customer, it doesn't matter whether it's direct or indirect or to you guys in the channel, is the application data going to the right person at the right time, all the time, in a format that they need in order to transact the business that that customer is doing, and monitor that. Okay, so if you've got lots and lots of ones and zeros, going into private cloud, public cloud. If you're transferring information file to file using Skype for Business, how do you know if it's working? So you have to manage the applications layer. You have to have a system that tells you if there's a CPU issue in the network, whether in the data center, whether it's a network problem, whether it's a problem with the software code, whether there's a problem in the private cloud or in the public cloud, and you need people like us that can provide that as a managed service. That's what's important. So, some sticky recommendations. Unified comms. So if you look at the analysts 2 or 3 years ago, if you wanted to add value to your business and get a better EBIT multiple, everybody was cloud, 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 okay? But that's gone now. That's shot its boat. In fact, I can see data centers actually reducing in number, all right? Because people will use the big Amazon and Microsoft clouds for a lot of things, okay? And the other clouds will be more specialist, more important, but there'll be less of them. Therefore, we don't need it. So, but the one thing now, because you know most of you have your own businesses or work for smaller businesses, UC is the one that's racking up the EBIT multiple. So it's gone from being not very important to being the most important thing, because it's bringing everything together, converging it with collaboration. Mobility, very, very important. I mean, by 2020, your primary communications device will be your smartphone. So you need to do everything with your smartphone. If you're not able to enable that for your customers, how are people going to work? APM, Applications Performance Management. It's a service that is becoming more and more important. So if you think about a lot of network companies, they sit there, and we've got one as well, you sit there in your network operations center, and you know, is it green, is it red, has it got jitter or packet loss? Okay, customers don't care about that. Customers care about, are the ones and zeros arriving in the right order at the right time at an applications layer, because their IT department want to go and do something else. Because CIOs are no longer people that just implement technology. CEOs are people that fix business process problems. They're businessmen, and therefore they want their IT team to be businessmen, okay, rather than just racking up lots and lots and lots of people that put their arms around things. So it will change. And PCI. If you don't have the right compliance on PCI and a way of delivering it into contact centers without handing them off to IVRs and everything else, then you're dead as a business. You have to be able to do that. And you need to provide it as a service. And it has to be on demand. And it has to be flexible. And you need to point it anywhere you go. I mean, if you're a customer in retail, for instance, and people are ringing into your call center, and you have to hand, or a debt collection agency, and you have to hand them off to another IVR to take a payment, okay, you've lost your customer, okay, because a lot of them just hang up, and retailers are obsessed about hanging on to it. So, you know, why is that important to the channel? All of you will have large customers, or customers with contact centers that take payment. If you provide them a PCI service, it's incredibly sticky, and it pulls through all the other business for you. Now, it's not a sell, you know, you can't white label it, it's a sell with, but it guarantees you all the other things that pulls through. And it gets you into different areas of conversation. And we've seen it. I mean, you know, our direct customers that have this, they're suddenly giving us all the other business because it's key to them. But I bet not many of you are thinking about, how can I provide PCI to my customers? So, some facts about unified communications. Well, from a channel point of view, the market's huge. Everybody wants it. Everybody's buying it. Microsoft will make an impact on it, okay? It won't be perfect and standardized for a while, but you cannot avoid it. People will just move away to mobile, something in their ear, talking to whoever they want, videoing whoever they want, doing it wherever they want, and swapping files and transacting their business processes and the way that they work together as project teams. If I look at my children, who hopefully will be leaving and working as soon as possible, which is every dream of every parent, they will work in a very different way because they don't actually speak to people. They collaborate. They don't use email. They use IM and WhatsApp and everything else and talk to each other. They get different information and consume it a different way. That is coming, and it's coming really, really quickly. So, just an example of how you get from the worldwide sales of smartphones and business applications and Skype for Business. Okay, it's the Millennial Generation bringing it all together. I mean, do you think that Facebook will be around forever in the form that it is now? No, because the people that originally used it are getting older, and new people want new things, and somebody will come out with something that is really, really, blows the market away, and people adopt it. You can't stop people growing up, and you just can't stop these things. But it's not for everybody, okay? But if it isn't for everybody, what are you going to do? There's a Trojan Horse sitting in there. On the PCI basis, you just look at the stats, and I guess this presentation will be available, Phil, for people if they want it. I've already talked about PCI. If you aren't compliant, you are going to be in big trouble. If you haven't thought how to keep hold of your users and take a payment from them, you will lose them. And if you're in the channel and you've not thought about how to provide this service because it pulls everything else that you want through, then you're not thinking about it properly. So, I've been given a 10-minute warning, which is fine. For me, that's about 50 slides if I really put my mind to it. So, buffalo hunters. So, what do I mean by that? So, in America, as we all know, there was a lot of buffalo, and everybody went around with guns and shot them and ate them, and they were commoditized. And you had to be in buffalo hunting to make money, and everybody thought they were going to be there forever. And then suddenly the buffalo hunters are going out, and they're traveling for an hour, and then the next month it would be 2 hours, and then 4 hours, and finally there's nearly no buffalo. There's no buffalo left. And that's what's going to happen with minutes, maintenance, PABX, peripherals, and anything else that isn't geared up to react to how people are, how people want to work. So I think that of the channel of buffalo hunters. So when it comes to channel partners, I don't want to have everybody as a channel partner, perfectly honest, okay? I want to have channel partners that can understand where the market's going, that are willing to be trained on our over-the-top managed services, that have the ability to understand the value that they'll be adding to their business by having those sticky services with regards to multiples and the value of their business, that are willing to take our services and sell them, white label some of them, but also to work alongside us for the services that are more complex, where we provide pre-sale support and everything else. So just to end, why do you think that the channel market in the UK is like a slinky? Well, I know my team probably know, because it's a bit like this when I look at it. So these are the kind of people leading the innovation, and it happens, and everybody gets excited about UC and cloud and everything else. But the channel keeps looking at it's never going to happen, it's never going to disappear and stuff like that. And then suddenly, it's gone, and we've seen it, and people are looking around and thinking, where did my market go? Why didn't I think about this? Why didn't I change it? What's happened to those things that I used to get revenue from? Everything's becoming commoditized. If you go for renewal with a customer, and especially if it's in commoditized services, the customer are more sophisticated. They know that they're going to expect 20 to 30% cost reduction in whatever they're doing. So what are you going to do to fill the gap? Otherwise, you're not growing and you're shrinking. You need stickier services. You need innovation. You need managed services. You need to help them fix their business problems. And that's why I think there's a problem in the channel, because it's all me too still, including GCI for now. It's me too. And that's not good enough to grow a business on. That's it. Any questions?